Welcome to the Coffee with Creators podcast, a casual conversation with creators about life and experiences. I'm your friend and your host, Michael. Justin Moore is a sponsorship coach and founder of Creator Wizard, a school and community that teaches you how to find and negotiate your dream brand deals. I recently stumbled upon his content, and I think the knowledge he shares is so valuable to creators that I couldn't wait to have him on as a guest. This might have been the most energetic episode I've ever recorded, and for once, I don't blame the coffee. Here's Justin Moore. This is the first time we're meeting. So
it is the very first time.
Yeah, so it's finally nice to meet you.
Yeah, you
Justin.
as well.
Justin Moore, the Creator Wizard. Is that a title that you like?
I mean, I wanted something when I started educating creators. I wanted something that was like tied to creators, but also implied that you would experience some sort of transformation, right? So if you watch my content, if I coach you or whatever, that it's like you will become like the student will become the teacher essentially, right? And so I liked what that communicated. But yeah, I mean, people do call me it. It's a little, but I'll.
It is what it is.
I guess I have assumed the title. I guess that's the point.
You grew into it. That's a good thing. Yeah. So
I grew into the title. I evolved into it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of gets rid of the whole imposter syndrome. You know what I mean? Like before, when I used to take photos, people called me a photographer. I'm like, I'm not really a photographer, but then I do it so much, and people call me a photographer, and then eventually I get work that actually pays me to take photos. Then I'm like, I guess I am a photographer at this point. So I'm imagining it's kind of like that. So, but that's a pretty badass title if you really think about it. Creator Wizard. I'm like, I think everyone wants to be called a wizard.
The other thing is that creatorwizard.com URL was available, and I was like, I went through so many permutations of it, and I was just like, I'm going to grab this URL. So that was also the extent of the strategy.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Justin, thank you for being here on the podcast. And first of all, I just want to say thank you as well, because I'm extra thank you because I know we moved this schedule, and my morning was just, oh man, let's just say that I did a lot of running today. I wasn't expecting to actually run because I was late from one meeting to run to pick up my kid and then run back home. So actually before getting on, I had to spend like 5 minutes just kind of relaxing. I'm a little sweaty too.
Oh.
It's one of those mornings. I hope your morning...
Drinking some whiskey.
I'm drinking some whiskey. I hope your morning...
Drinking some whiskey,
Yeah, your morning, I hope, is not as frantic as mine. You're in California, right?
I'm in the San Francisco Bay. And yeah, it was, I will say I've started blocking all of my meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays because I just found that I was not getting any work done, having them sprinkled throughout the week. And it was very frustrating to me that I wasn't making any progress on any of the things that I wanted to do. And so that has helped a lot, but because generally, I feel similarly, like I'm like running from meeting to meeting, and it's not a great feeling.
No, not at all. And what's funny too, because it's like, I think whiskey would be the best drink to hold right now, but I'm holding coffee because this is my first cup of coffee. And I'm like, is this really smart of me to do after being so, just like wired all morning, and now I'm drinking coffee? But I need my cup of joe at least once a day. So I have this.
I must say, I drank all my coffee. I just went and I got a nitro cold brew from Starbucks, and I chugged it before this. I was planning on having it, but it just I pretty much chugged it. Yeah.
I love that. I just recently discovered that drink, by the way, because I'm such a plain coffee drinker kind of guy. Like most of the time I take my coffee black, and it's like my wife always complains. She's like, why would you even have like this coffee maker whatever at home if you just drink it like that? I'm like, sometimes I just want the caffeine. And I discovered that drink. Totally. And that actually gets me really, really wired. So let's hope
it's very strong, and so this is going to be a very energetic podcast.
That's what I'm looking for. That's awesome. All right, Justin, before we move on, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Absolutely. So my name is Justin Moore. I go by Creator Wizard on all social media pretty much. And my business is all around helping you find and negotiate your dream sponsorship so that you stop leaving thousands on the table. And I have found over the decade or so that, my wife and I have been on social media, that sponsorships is one of the most difficult areas for creators. And also on the same on the other side of that, it's that the most lucrative, right? So it's like it's very difficult to learn the art and science of negotiation, and yet it's the biggest chunk of most creators' income. Like if you look at any studies or surveys that have been done for creators, and so this is really kind of my core area of expertise. So the quick story is that my wife and I started, or my wife, it wasn't me. My wife started her first YouTube channel in 2009, and so way back in the day. And so I slowly got roped into like being in front of the camera. We created a bunch of different types of channels, cooking channel, family vlog channel. My wife had her kind of motherhood, beauty focus, lifestyle channel. And so we've made a lot of different types of content over the years. And so like working with brands has always been like a really major part of our business, both, kind of financially, as well as just like what we've been best at. Like we're just really good at like helping brands like achieve marketing objectives, and like we just have these really long sustained partnerships with brands and agencies and things like that. And so so that's like the one side of my persona, is like being a creator in the trenches for many years. And then in 2015 I started an influencer marketing agency where I was helping other creators get sponsorships. And so that afforded me like a very unique perspective into this, because it's like one thing to like, advocate for yourself, but when you're like trying to convince a brand like, hey, no, I can actually help you like work on this strategy with like 50 influencers. It's like very different. It's like 30,000, kind of like foot view of like, how do you actually afford this like giant change and transformation for a brand and whatever their objective is. And so like that was kind of like that's the Jekyll and Hyde of my personality, I guess. And so I was doing that for so long that I saw so many mistakes being made. I've exchanged literally tens of thousands of emails with creators over the years, and like I just saw these mistakes being made over and over and over again. And I was like, you know what? I just need to scratch this itch and start making videos, like making my own videos, educating creators, like negotiations, pricing strategies, like mistakes people are making, like, do I need an influencer manager? Like all these like questions that people would always ask me. And I was just like, let me just make some videos. And that was it. I thought that was going to be it. I was like, okay, let me just like scratch this itch and then I'll be done with it. And then people started asking for more videos, like, oh, like, can you talk about this and talk about this? And I was just like, oh, can you make a course and like all this stuff? Can you help coach me? Like it all like evolved very organically. And so, yeah, here, fast forward to today, it's been about 2 years since I've been making this content for creators. And it's like, this is the thing I'm most excited about now in my life, is like helping other people. So that is like the quick story of who I am.
That's awesome, Justin. And I just have to say that I really do appreciate what you do. And I discovered you on Twitter. I think it was on Twitter that you posted something about, I can't remember exactly what tweet it was, but it was something about obviously some brand sponsorships. And I'm like, I totally agree with this guy. And I'm like, finally, someone who makes sense. And the reason I say this is because I've been in this game not as long as you have been. So I've been doing this for about 3 years. But early on, I had this brand deal with a big brand. And I remember they were saying, if we send you this product for free, just take a bunch of photos for us and post it on your social media. I said, sure, that's awesome. I get a free product from this big brand. And then they said, sure, okay, they'll send me over the thing. And I was, in my excitement, I just signed a contract and just, say bye. Basically got the product, and I'm like, this is awesome. And it's funny looking back, because their email, they kept saying, remember, this product is really expensive. And I'm like, I know. So it's like it's like I'm thanking them so much for the opportunity, right? And then a few months later, I see my same photo being shared by an account that has millions of followers. And then I see on that account was tagged the brand. And it, this was early on when Instagram didn't really have that label that says paid promotion, paid posting or something like that. And what they had to disclose is this post is a paid promotion by this company. And I said, wait a minute, that's my photo, and they're paying someone else to use my photo so they can sell more products. And since then, it felt like I remember very distinctly that sickening, like that sick feeling in my stomach, like I was taken advantage of, right? My skill, my audience, and everything. And I almost kind of quit. I'm almost just like, you know what? I don't think I belong in this type of business, because I feel like this is just going to happen over and over again. But since then, this was my first year on Instagram, I think. I was just like, you know what? moving forward, I need to understand how this whole thing works. And so over the years, this is one of the reasons why I created Coffee with Creators with my co-host like 3 years ago, because we wanted to discuss stuff like this. But then it evolved into like, what type of content to share. But even if you listen back to my old episodes, I always say, always ask for payment. You should always be paid for whatever it is that you're giving them, because I didn't know how to I guess I just didn't know the type of words to use, or I didn't know how to express it, like why you should get paid. I always use this whole scenario where I say, imagine you're Target, you're the store Target, and company A says, hey, this is a very expensive item. What if we put this in your shelf, and in return, we'll give you said free item? You know what I mean? And like, does Target, will they say yes to that? No, they'll probably kick you out, because it's like, it doesn't work that way. You want access to Target's audience, then you have to pay for that. And so that was like the best way that I could describe it. But after seeing your tweet and then subscribing to your newsletter and also watching some of your videos, I have to admit I haven't watched all of them. I'm like, why did it take me this long to discover this guy? This is all just to say, I really appreciate what you do. And I think it's very important. And I think this is a very important episode for the listeners of Coffee with Creators to really just listen and understand. And I'm also here, for the most part, Justin, I'll be here to just learn from you. So I should have done the introduction. I think that was a better introduction.
That's okay. No. That was I appreciate that so much. And I think you're so right in that I've spoken to so many creators about this, that it oftentimes is this like journey that they come on when it comes to like, a lot of people had this really negative experience in the beginning. They didn't know any better. They felt like they were taken advantage of. And so it like soured their whole experience working with brands. And they felt like, oh, it's always going to be like that. Or like, I always got to like watch my back and things like that. And so I come at it from a very different perspective, which is like, yes, there are brands out there who do prey on creators for sure. I don't want to diminish that. But in my experience, the vast, vast, vast majority of brands really do find value in really amazing relationships with creators. And all it takes is finding those brands. And so if you look at it from that mindset where it's like, no, like brands are not evil. It's more about finding the brands who truly value your worth. So it's like, you're never going to like be able to avoid like shady brands all the time. You're going to get stuff in your inbox that's just like, wow, like thanks, but no thanks. Right. But the majority of the time, in my experience, it actually comes down to education on your part of explaining and articulating to brands why they should pay you. Because a lot of times, like think about it. If a brand has had a lot of success getting creators to talk about them for free, what do you think is going to be their default offer? It's going to be, hey, here's free product.
Exactly.
Talk about it. Right. Right. And so the onus is on you. Like, so rather than getting mad and being like, how dare you, brand? Like, all brands are preying on creators. No, it's like, how can you approach this and be like, hey, like, tell me a little bit more about what you're trying to accomplish with your influencer strategy. Saying something very simple like that and letting them explain to you like, oh, like we're just trying to drive more products, or, oh, like we're really excited about repurposing your content for advertising, right? Like what if you would have asked that brand back in the day that question and they would have told you and you'd be like, oh, thank you so much for letting me know. I'm happy to share some investment options with you of like how how we could work together in that way. Right. Or they say, oh, this is a new product launch, right? We're just trying to get the word out there. Like all of those are very different conversations. And I think a lot of creators don't understand that, like asking the brand about, what the goal of their influence strategy of like working with you is the number one thing that you need to take away from this conversation, because it will unlock everything for you. So, for example, to bookend this, if they would have said to you, Michael, yeah, we're excited about repurposing your content on our website or using it for paid ads or whatever, your proposal to them is not, hey, I'll post on my Instagram and, I'll do all this stuff on like my platforms. No, like what if you come around and say to them, hey, like I can actually make a bunch of exclusive content for you that I don't even post. If I know that running ads is like your goal, like let me just make these 5 quick videos for you that you could run as Instagram ads. Yeah, it's going to be $10,000 or $5,000 or whatever, but it's like, now that I know that's your goal, my pitch is going to be different. And so it's like it's a real mindset shift where most creators think the only way I can work with brands is like if you give me the product, you pay me, I talk about it right on my platform. No, there's like so much other value that you can bring to brands that most creators don't even think about.
That is so eye-opening. And I'm like, you know what? That is true. There's so many things that I could easily, I guess I could just position myself at this point. And that's just by asking one simple question. What is your goal? And most of the time when I get an email or whatever it is, or a message, I'll just throw in my media kit. It'll be like, okay, here's for Instagram and here's for a thing. And it's because I just don't know. And you're completely correct. Like all I have to do is really just educate myself. And I think communication is such an important thing that my personality is I wasn't usually, let's just say that when I was growing up, I was never the type of person who would talk to someone at length. It was usually just like, okay, what do you need? And I'll just give you what it is that you need. Never really was into getting into conversations and stuff like that. But I realize now that how important communication is because I'm basically leaving a lot off the table just by, just giving them that media kit and saying, all right, here it is. It's like a Band-Aid, the way I see it now. Like, here's your problem. You want content. Here it is. Here's for my Instagram. Here's for my thing. So I'm in a way, I'm basically just shooting myself in the foot. So that thing, I think we can end the podcast here, Justin. I think that was good enough. So
yeah. Well, like to push that, to rub a little bit of more salt in that wound, Michael, not to like use you as an example, but like,
no, please go ahead.
Most creators, when it comes to media kits, like like most creators, you open their media kit and it's like page 1 is like, hi, I'm Michael. I have this many followers. This is my demographics. Like, here's my, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, the brand doesn't care. What the brand cares about is case studies. They care about testimonials. How can you help them just like you helped a similar brand with a similar challenge, right? So it's like, that's page 1. Page 2 or page 10 is you. That's the appendix. It's not about you. They already know about you. They looked at your platforms, right?
That's a good point,
They know, right? So it's like, yes, demographics, they'll ask for that. That's stuff they need to know. But the real thing is like, oh, you helped this other brand on a conversion focused campaign, do this. This was the testimonial. Michael was so amazing to work with. He helped us turn around this content in 10 days. And like, we're definitely going to hire again. Like, that's what the brand cares about. They don't care about you. I say that like facetiously, but really, like, the brand cares about this business objective that they're trying to accomplish. And so it's like, if you put that hat on, where it's like, you're not just a creator, you're a consultant. You're helping them like accomplish, like, they have this problem and here's your solution. The solution is this proposal that you're sending to them of like this what they're trying to accomplish. So that's like media kits. Everyone always like, oh, how like media kit templates and all this stuff. And I'm like, the last 10 deals that my wife and I have done, maybe like one has asked for a media kit. And like, sometimes we'll just like send our media kit as like a icing on the cake. Like, here's a proposal. And oh, by the way, here's like a bunch of case studies and testimonials of like why we're amazing to work with. Right. So it's not like, that's not like your first response is like, oh, like here's a media kit. It's like, you've basically like kind of shut the door in your face.
Exactly.
And it's just like, no, like unless the brand's asking you for that, like that should not be your go-to initially.
Fantastic. That's really good. I've actually stopped sending my media kit unless they request for it, because I started to learn that they already know who I am. Like you said, they already know who I am. I don't have to try to, it's not a resume. I'm not applying for a job. They're approaching me and they feel like I have something to offer them. And so my biggest thing is, instead of me just shutting the door in that deal and by saying, oh, this is how much it's going to cost for X, Y, and Z, I should ask them. The first thing I should do is, what are your objectives? What are you trying to do? So, okay, I'm writing notes in my head, but there's one thing that I do want to kind of talk about, because when you were sharing that thought, I realized that maybe this is from my perspective, but I want you to see, I want you to share your own personal experience or views in this whole influencer space. So the problem with a lot of early or new creators is that when they get into this influencer space, I hate that word, by the way. I think you don't like that word either. So, okay, yeah, we both can agree there.
The creator economy, maybe.
Yeah. So the thing that we can't avoid is it has a lot of, you bring in a lot of ego into this business, right? You feel like, I'm so popular, I have a platform, everyone follows me. So I think hearing you say those last bits of information really drives that home. Like, listen, they don't really care about you, but you mean it in the best way possible, right? Like, you're trying to,
I do.
Yeah, you're trying to make people realize that what your job as a creator is to service these, this like brands A, B, and C, and make sure that they achieve their goals. And so it's not all about, how dare they? I have this many followers and they're only paying me this much. So how did you come to that realization later on? Or were you always aware ever since you and your wife started your social media accounts that, hey, it's not really about us. It's just about what we can offer them?
Yeah, and so I'm glad you brought this up because I do want to clarify, like, obviously, like, our top priority is always like maintaining a very intimate connection with our followers, because at the end of the day, we wouldn't have what we do, we wouldn't have this lifestyle, we wouldn't have built the career that we have without our following and our audience and things like that. But all that to say, like, we have built up a very particular set of skills. I sound like Liam Neeson, but like we built up this set of skills that are very marketable and attractive to brands. And so it's just like that, to discount that and to only value yourself based on vanity metrics, like how many followers you get and how many views you get and likes and all that stuff, completely misses the boat of the set of skills and expertise that you have. A lot of people think like, oh, like I don't have that many followers, like brands don't really care, but like brands truly suck at social media. So it's like, if you are able to basically say to them like, hey, like I see that you're not on TikTok. Like I've actually, cracked the code, or I really do understand what works on TikTok. Yeah. And then they see, oh, he has 5,000 followers on TikTok or 10,000. To them, that's amazing. Like, wow, that's amazing. Right. And so it's like you are, it's like so many creators have this kind of like imposter syndrome where it's like they are measuring themselves relative to other creators versus like truly understanding that they do have expertise that other people will value.
Mm-hmm. That's actually really good. I'm glad you said that. I had a guest recently who was sharing to me off camera that sometimes it's a little disheartening to be in this business because you see the other creators, like some of them are your friends, and then you're like, how come they're getting the deals and I'm not? And they basically start to believe that they have no value at all. And I just couldn't find the right words to tell them that no, you have your own audience. There's a reason why you're doing this, because you have your own audience. You speak to that audience. But just kind of piggybacking on what you just said, is it possible at all for smaller accounts to be very successful in this business?
100%. I mean, I think a lot of it, I love telling this story of a creator through my agency that we had hired. It was a major wireless telecommunications company, and they were finding a lot of success with customers in the FIRE community, so financial independence, retire early. And that was basically the prompt or the brief was like, hey, like we want to work with these types of creators. And so we found a creator who, get this was their niche. They were financial planning and budgeting for active duty military. That was their niche, right? And less than 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and they hired him. He made an amazing video. They turned it around and used it for paid ads to reach hundreds of thousands of more people. He was paid very well, right? And so again, it's not you are a production company in a box. As a creator, you are the creative services. You're production. You edit the content. You distribute the content. You market the content. You're everything. Think about if that brand had to go out and hire a production company, an ad agency,
an
actors and actresses. Yeah, and actors and actresses to star in the content. Then this is the key here, Michael. They have to go and pay Facebook and Instagram and YouTube to serve the ad. Right? They have to there's all these expenses to actually distribute this content. And you have all of that built into your platform as a creator. So it's just like tell me again why you're not valuable. Explain that to me. Because
if anyone is listening to if anyone's listening to this episode right now, and I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this episode, if you are taking home anything today, at least that, because I've been saying this for the longest time. I have I went to school for advertising. This was a long time ago. I never really went to work in advertising. But I understood that there's a lot of money that needs to be exchanged before you even get anything on the air. And this was during for newspapers, for television, for radio ads. So much money needs to leave this person's hand before they even see a smidge of an ad. And they're only hoping that the ideal demographic, the ideal person that they're trying to target will actually see this. But in this creator community, this whole thing that we're doing, they know exactly who our targets are, and that's just by ask. That's why they ask for the demographics. Like, who are you? What's your demographic? Because they want to target those people specifically, and now they have access to that through you, not through an agency. And I've also said this before. Like, before, you have to pay a designer, a photographer, a makeup artist, and rent a studio, and then take a photo, and then put it on a billboard, pay that billboard for how many months, and then you're only hoping that people who are driving by at 65 miles an hour will see the message, which it's probably just like 2 lines, at most of words, and you're hoping that they'll remember that, and you're hoping to generate sales from that. But you're speaking directly to these people. And so, yes, Justin, you are correct. For anyone who's listening to this, I feel like now Justin and I are just like so high on caffeine right now. I want to jump up and down.
Dude,
no, because
we're on that level.
I really got excited when you said that, because I feel like I said, when I saw your tweet, this was a while back, I'm like, this guy gets it. This guy gets it completely. I don't even know where to I don't even know where to move. So okay, how about this? Since we talked about being a successful creator, even having a small following, what would you say, or what advice would you give to people who are just starting in this business? Like, I know there's a lot of people who listen to Coffee Creators who want to start their own Instagram profile, and it's always about, I get this question a lot. They'll say, what do you think my aesthetic should be? What do you think I should do? Is this whole thing about chasing that visual trend, I think, seems to be very apparent. And I'm not really sure how to respond to that. Like, is that a wise approach? Is that, what would you say to something like that, a question like that?
Yeah. So first of all, the moment you publish one post, you are ahead of 99% of people in terms of actually making this a thing and wanting to do it as a side hustle, turn it into a full. There will be a massive amount of people who just will never have the courage to hit publish. So my first advice is just like, get something out there, right? Because I feel like a lot of the paralysis by analysis comes into play when it's just like, you just have never published anything, and you follow all these people who are amazing, and you just kind of, I wish I would have started 3 years ago when I initially had that idea. Like, so many people say that, right? And so the other thing too is that if you like, when we first started, like 2009, like, there was no partner program on YouTube. You could not make money on YouTube. Like, that was not a thing, right? And so, like, influencers and creators these days, like, it's way more apparent and obvious that people get into it being like, hey, like, I might want to turn this into like a money-making endeavor. And so it's just like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but I do think the mindset that you come into it with is very critical. And this is what I mean. I have this a course that I teach called Gifted to Paid, and it's helping creators go from getting a bunch of free product offers and how you can actually convert those into paid partnerships, right? And one of the things I teach in there is really understanding what I call your STP, your Surprising Transformative Promise. And what that means is that in your bio, where you're talking, if a follower lands on your page or a brand lands on your page and is trying to understand whether they want to hire you, they're trying to understand, like, what are you all about? What is the composition of your audience? Because at the end of the day, that's really what they care about. It's like, not, like I said, it's not you, it's who is in your audience, because there are prospective customers in the brand. You're the conduit, right? And so what the Surprising Transformative Promise is all about. So, like, what does your bio say, Michael, by the way? Like, how do you describe yourself on social media? Let's do the exercise for you.
Oh my God. Okay. I'll be the test mouse, or what do you call it? The lab rat for this one. Okay. My bio, actually.
The guinea pig.
The guinea pig. That's it. That's a better way of saying it. It's been a while since I actually looked at this and realized that. What I have there is just content creator, work from homer, pizza eater. And then I have a bunch of links.
Okay.
Yeah.
Content creator, work from homer, and pizza eater. Okay, let's workshop this together. So, first observation.
Okay.
Is hundreds of thousands of other people say basically the same thing.
Yes.
Content creator, maybe not work from homer, pizza eater probably, right? But it's like, if I'm a potential follower landing on this platform, or if I'm a brand trying to decide whether to hire you, I have no indication from that bio about how you're talking about yourself as to who is in your audience.
Time for a short break, but when we come back, Justin helps rewrite my Instagram bio, and it's really good. You definitely don't want to miss this one. We'll be right back. I am going to share with you one of the best decisions and investments I've ever made as a content creator, and that is signing up with an online library of royalty-free music. Whether you're new to creating content or a full-fledged creator, you know exactly the pain, frustration, and how much time it actually takes to find the right music. Not to mention, it gets really expensive paying for individual tracks. Epidemic Sound is the answer to all of that. They have thousands of high quality, royalty free music and sound effects that you can choose from for one affordable monthly rate. Their service has saved me so much time and money over the years, and I cannot recommend them enough. So, for the Coffee with Creators listeners out there, you can try them out for 30 days risk free by going to your web browser and typing in share.epidemicsound.com/CWC. Once you sign up, you have full access to their vast library, and I promise you, your brain, your wallet, and even your audience will thank you for it. Again, head over to share.epidemicsound.com/CWC for a 30-day trial.
Let's talk about how we could change it. So you give me the description. Who do you think is in your audience?
That's really interesting. I feel like this is it's like a consultation. You're not going to charge me after this, are you, Justin?
No, it's therapy. It doubles as therapy as well.
Okay. So that's kind of hard to describe. I don't really know how to answer that. So let me try to backtrack a little bit. So I started as a graphic design account back in like 3 years ago, and I couldn't get clients to follow me because, frankly, I'm not the best graphic designer out there. And so I felt like I just needed it as a portfolio. And then eventually it turned into me sharing my home office space, because this was the first time I've actually had a space that I could kind of mess around with. This was pre-pandemic, like way, way before. And it was just a plain desk. And I slowly just added like little products here and there. And so this desk became my store shelf. So this is when people started following me because they wanted to see how I would evolve this desk. And then brands started to send me stuff, and they're like, oh, add this to the desk, add this monitor, add this stuff. And it really just started from there. But I didn't want to get stuck in this space. I didn't want to be like known as the desk guy. So I started to incorporate more of my face into the account, and I started to add more photography. And so that turned into tech reviews. Then I had my YouTube channel, and basically, in a nutshell, that's where I am right now. So I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm not really sure. That's why I'm not really sure how to describe it. I know my audience loves tech. I know my audience love premium products. I'm not the type who would share cheap ones. I remember, people would say, why won't you share a cheaper version of a mouse instead of like the one that you're sharing, which is $100? I'm like, because if you want a cheaper mouse, you just buy it. You don't really care for it. Like if you want it to work, it'll work. You just go on Amazon. What I'm sharing is a little bit more of a lifestyle, like a little bit of just something that's a little bit more than what you usually get. So I guess that's what I would describe my account. So can you help me, Justin?
Okay. So I'm going to make this up on the spot, and you can, and this may be totally off base, but like you could say something like, I design premium desk builds and highlight the best tech for the discerning consumer so that they can ensure that they have what's like the final thought is the transformation. It is so that they are always up to date on the latest technology, something like that. I suck at making this up on the spot, but like the point is that by identifying, again, I know you don't want to be the desk guy, but like the words that you use matter, like we were talking earlier. So like by saying, you only showcase, tech for the discerning consumer, something where it's just like, it's not just like everyday tech. It's like high quality tech, right? Yeah. Or it's like premium builds, right? You are self-segmenting yourself, right? So someone landing on your profile and they see that, they're like, oh, I don't think Michael's for me because I'm not about that, right? But adding the words "so that" at the end of how you describe yourself is so critical, because you're basically, what I call is, you are making a transformative promise to potential followers and to brands that are potentially may want to work with you. So the moment, if I read, I could punch that up obviously offline, but like the moment that I land on your page and I read that in your bio, as a brand, I all of a sudden know that your audience is filled with 50,000 people who want premium tech products.
There you go. That's it. I mean, you said you suck at it, Justin,
right?
but I thought you did it. You did it really, really well. We just need to refine it a little bit. But I thought you hit it in the head.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then I don't know. Again, it's very critical. I appreciate that, but we also need to figure out what the transformation is, because premium tech products. So that what's the outcome? The outcome is you're always on the cutting edge, or you're always I don't know what you have to. That's your job to figure out, like, what is the transformation that you are promising to your community? Because then the brand reads that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. Okay, so what I've been doing lately is that at least this is kind of like how it evolved for me. So since I share a lot of like my desk setup stuff, it's evolved into like. This was back then when I changed my desk, and then someone sponsored me a really nice premium desk, and then I got another desk, and then I changed my office, changed my wife's office, and it turned into like me. I like the word transform that you said. I've actually worked with a couple of other people where I transformed their workspace or their study desk into something that's a little bit more personal and inspiring. Does that help? Does that?
Dude, to me, like, that is brilliant. Like, imagine if you were a like work from home desk coach or consultant or strategist, or like your whole thing is that you transform people's workspaces so that they're more in harmony with their lives and their personality or something. Right. And like, that's the transform. Like, if I landed on Michael's profile and it was like, I work from home, I want my workspace to be like, transform. And that like, you would think that having a more defined niche like that is constricting, but it's actually like, think about if you have that niche, like, I bet you in your head, there's like 1,000 videos you can make on that topic.
Yes.
Because it's not just about desk builds. It's about, right. It's about, tech products that help you, center and be more harmonious. And like, there's so many avenues that you could go with that, with like calling yourself this very specific thing. And then not only will brands want to work with you, but it's like, if I'm a follower, it's like, wow, Michael's going to help me redesign my space. Like, you're going to have more people wanting to hire you for one-on-one coaching and consultations. You're going to like, right. You're going to have the CEO of Fortune 5,000 company fly you out to design their workspace for their company. Like, it opens up so many avenues for you when you like put a name to what you do. Okay. Right.
Guys. So remember that Justin and I are just talking about my bio. This is just the first line that you read on my Instagram page, and I'm learning so much already. This is awesome. That's awesome.
Dude, dude, no, it's not. I wake up and I get so excited about this stuff every day, because it's like, you don't realize the expertise that you have. It's like the forest through the trees. You cannot see it until someone comes outside and just like looks at what you're doing and is like, dude, like, that's who you like. You are a work from home consultant. Like, I don't know we got to work on the words, but like, it's very clear to me. Like, there's so much like white space. The other beautiful thing about that is that you don't have competition anymore at that point. It's not like you're just another tech reviewer or whatever. It's like, if a brand approaches you, like, you are one of one. Like, you are not just a commodity anymore. You are like, hey, if you want to like access my audience, like, this is my specialty. Like, if your brand thinks that one of your primary consumer targets is like people who work from home, you want to hire me, because that's who my audience is. Right. And like, all of a sudden you have no competition. Right. That's why I love this exercise, because it's like, people think, oh, I'm just another tech reviewer, or I'm just another YouTuber. There's so many out there. No, like, I guarantee you there's something about the way in which the way in which you serve people that is unique.
Okay, I love what you just said, because this is one of the feelings that I get when I see some other creators, and not to knock them or anything, but a lot of them I see are trying so hard to emulate other people, because they feel like if they do the exact same thing, that somehow success will find them. And that doesn't say that it doesn't happen. It's not to say that it won't happen, but I feel like they're missing out a huge part of like being unique, just by being themselves. And I think by being themselves, you are already unique, and you're offering something completely new and completely different, and people want different. And it's just one of those things that I just don't. Yeah, it's just hard to explain, I guess.
I just got off a consulting call earlier today, right before this. And at the end of the call, the creator said to me, I have followed a ton of influencer coaches, creator coaches over the years, and I've never heard anyone talk about sponsorship strategy the way that you do. And so like, to me, that's music to my ears, because it's like number one, I've never heard anyone call themselves a sponsorship coach, right? Like, it's like you're an influencer manager, or like you're you're like a course creator, or like you're something. And I just like somehow like, oh, the other thing back up real quickly, like to give you behind the scenes, kind of like the messy middle of this, is that when I started creating content, educating creators, I was not a sponsorship coach. I was teaching you the business of being a creator. That was like my tagline, right? And I thought that was specific enough. I thought that was like, oh, people would get it. I'll talk about sponsorships. I'll talk about, diversifying your revenue streams. I'll talk about audience growth. I'll talk about email list strategy, all this stuff, right? And yet that was still too confusing for people. And then one day I had one of my followers DM me, and she gave me 2 golden nuggets. And she was like, number one, like I used to be talking way more about like brand deals. That was the words I was using, right? And she was just like, is there a reason why you keep saying brand deals? Because like whenever I hear a creator doing a sponsorship, they always say, thanks to brand for sponsoring me. Using the word sponsorships, not brand deals, right? And so I was like, that's really interesting. And that's actually, I went back and like did some research, keyword research, all this stuff. And I was just like, I actually think sponsorships is a much better way to describe, like, it's not just a brand deal. It's like, no, it's just like a sponsorship. It's like a partnership. It's a relationship. And so it's like going back to like how words matter. I changed myself from like brand deal coach, or like, business to be a creator, to brand deal coach, to like sponsorship coach. And the moment I did that, everything took off for me. It was like, I called myself that on social media. People were like, oh, like I they kind of got it. It's like, but they've never heard of anyone who really does that. I don't manage you. Like, all right, I'm not like exclusively managing creators. No, I'm going to teach you this. That's what I'm doing. I'm teaching you this. And so it's like, again, like going back to the whole idea of like really defining your niche. And so that creator who told me, like, why are you talking about all these other things? Like, clearly sponsorships is like what you're best at. Like, just talk about that. And I was like, well, that's a good idea. I guess I should probably do that. Right. So, this is, this whole process is like an evolution. It's like, I just want to like make it clear. Like, I did not start this way. Like, it very much was like something I arrived to.
Okay, yeah, that's actually really good to hear too, because a lot of people, it's easy to claim to be something, and out the door, I'm like, I'm an expert, I'm a photographer, I'm whatever it is. It's so easy to call yourself that, but getting yourself to a point where you evolve into this situation, I think it's there's a lot of genuineness to it, and it's more believable. And I think people can smell that, right? People can understand that. But thank you for sharing that story. I think that's really important. Yeah, that's really great. There's one question that I want to ask you. I'm kind of avoiding to ask this question because there's 2 things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I didn't want to get too much into the weeds. But one of the most common questions I always get, and I'm sure you get this a lot too, is that how much do I charge this brand for X, Y, and Z? What can you say about that?
Sure. So first and foremost, we were talking about asking brands their goals, right? It's really critical you do that, because you should be charging the brand different amounts of money based on their goal, right?
Right.
I have a whole week in my course dedicated to pricing and negotiation strategies, but it really is like, let me give you a very quick example, Michael. If the brand comes to you and says that, well, our goal is conversions, right? We would just want to drive sales. We want to drive app downloads. We want to drive a click-through rate. Like, that is their goal. Then it's going to be very difficult to negotiate with them, because let's say that they're doing some back of the napkin math on their side, and they're saying, okay, well, we think that Michael can drive 100 sales and the average order, amount is $10 or whatever. The max they're going to be willing to pay you is $1,000. So you're going to get blue in the face trying to negotiate with brands who has this very concrete set of internal sales metrics that they are beholden to, that their bosses are breathing down their neck and being like, you can't play any influencers anymore. We have to at least break even on this partnership. Contrast that with a brand awareness campaign where the brand comes to you and says, oh, we're just trying to get the word out there. We're trying to do a product launch, trying to spread the word. We want to use your content. It's going to be so much easier to negotiate with them for a higher rate if you know that's their goal, because they don't have that boss breathing down their neck being like, hey,
right.
they have to drive this many sales. Right. And so it's like, that is the number one most important thing when it comes to pricing, is understanding the goal, because your pricing should change. The other thing here is that I love acronyms. So I've created this rule called the DO rule, which is DUE. And the D stands for what are the deliverables? Okay. Is it a Instagram post? Is it a reel? Is it a YouTube video, a dedicated YouTube video? Is it an integrated YouTube video? Like you really have to understand and get very specific about what it is, because those all require different amounts of work, right?
Right.
And so like understanding exactly, because some brands will reach out and be like, oh, we just want to do a couple of posts and like, do this collaboration. No. How many posts? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it integrated? Is it dedicated? You have to know. That's number 1 for the do rule. The U is the usage rights, right? Like we talked about, like what are they going to be doing with their content? Are they going to repurpose it? Are they going to put it on their website, right? Are they going to put it on a freaking billboard? You better know these things because you need to charge accordingly, right? And then E is exclusivity. We haven't really talked about this, but like, is the brand basically going to prohibit you from working with their competitors for a certain duration? Well, there's an opportunity cost associated with that, right? If the competitor approaches you in 3 months and you agree to 6 months exclusivity, well, that sucks. You just left money on the table. So you need to make sure that you're pricing that into your deal if that's something that they want. So again, it definitely is an art and a science. I do have a calculator, full disclosure, in my course. That's like something that's available to creators that definitely helps. But again, it's like an art and a science when it comes to like, these are the kind of the main pricing levers.
Okay. That's good, because it really does encourage people, especially people like me, to really educate myself with, how this whole thing works. It's not just because it's still, let's face it, this whole creator economy has been going around for a few years now. It just keeps changing its name, but it's still very much the Wild West out here. It's just like, and here's the thing. I'm very certain, Justin, that you will agree with me that most brands or most companies, actually, you did say that they don't know what they're doing, because I've had this experience with one brand that I would assume they know exactly what they're doing, because they're pretty big. They're like, okay, so we would love to work with you. This and this. This is one of my most, I guess, the one that I enjoyed working on, because they were so open to discussion, like to discuss the needs and whatever it is that. I basically just gave them a rundown of what I can offer them. And I remember, aside from accepting the offer, they said, we really just want to say we appreciate you really writing it all down and explaining to us what we're going to get. And I'm like, that's surprising, because I thought that they would know exactly what it is to expect. And so for you guys who are listening to this, Justin is completely right. Like they most of them don't know what they're doing. I mean, this is your thing, right? So they're knocking on your door, and they're asking very respectfully most of the time to just say, hey, we want to be a part of this thing that you've got going on. And so it's your job, our job, to educate ourselves and then educate them as to what they're getting. And actually that also includes pricing. So that's great. Love that you said that. I feel like this whole conversation is just reaffirming all the things that I always believed in, but just could not articulate, not as well as you, definitely.
No, I love to hear that. And I think that, when brands do reach out, I think it's really important for people to hear this. There's a reason that they're doing that. They like something about you. They like something about your page. They, want to be connected and associated with you on social media. So it's like, if they're coming into your court and that, email is landing in your inbox, like there's a reason for that. So it's like, when it comes to the confidence aspect, just like remember that, right? There's a reason that they came to you and not someone else. The other thing too that I wanted to touch on real quickly is you were saying that you've had these conversations. Sometimes it's like this comparison game where it's like you're looking at your other peers, other creators on social media who are getting these deals and things like that. And it's just like, why aren't I getting those deals? This is a very important thing to understand, which is that it is not enough to sit on your hands and wait for brands to email you. Okay. You have to augment those opportunities that are coming into your inbox with outbound outreach, meaning that you have to start sowing the seeds and relationships with other brands, other agencies that you eventually want to partner with, so that when they do have campaigns that come up, you instantly come to mind. Okay. Like this is a very critical thing to understand, that you cannot just wait for deals to come to you if you want to maintain a robust and consistent income with sponsorships. Because again, sponsorships are a major way in which most creators make money. So if this is something that you want to do, you want to transition from side hustle to full-time, or you are full-time and it's just like, oh, I don't know when that next sponsorship is going to land in my inbox. Like, no, like you have to be, this is another really critical thing to understand, is that when you reach out and pitch a brand, the goal is not to get a brand deal. to get that brand to pay you right then. No, the goal is to establish the relationship, because the likelihood of you reaching out to the brand during an active recruitment period for a paid campaign is extremely low. Let's say that they are running 4 campaigns, like once a quarter, okay? And they know that, you reach out on a random, March 10th, like the likelihood of you reaching out on a day when they're like the 5 to 7 day period where they're actually reaching out to influencers, trying to recruit people, trying to get people who are excited is so low. So the goal is not to get the deal. The goal, and you shouldn't be dejected if they say, oh, we're not running any paid campaigns right now. Like, obviously, of course they're not, right?
Yeah.
The goal is to so that when they are the next in 2 months or whatever, when they do open that like recruitment period, that you instantly come to
remember
mind.
you.
So it's just like, that's a very important, it's important mindset shift, because it's so many creators, they reach out to brands, they get rejected, they don't hear back, and then they'd be like, well, cold pitching doesn't work. It's like, no, like that's not the point. The point is to like get on their radar so you start building the relationships.
This is awesome, because that's so true even in the field of graphic design. Like the reason why I have a bunch of clients, or back then, was because of that, sowing the seeds. And I always say that it's like a relationship game. I mean, there's so many other talented designers out there, much more talented than me, but I've managed to retain a couple of like really good paying clients. And the only reason is because they know me, like they can trust me. And I've built enough of that relationship that they can say, oh, we can always just reach out to Michael, and we'll know that he'll deliver us whatever it is that we need.
Michael, that is exactly the reason why brands will pay a creator with half the followers double the amount of money than someone else. Yeah. Because they will know, like, every time we come to Michael, we know it's going to get done and we know it's going to be good. Because that is a very valuable asset to brands, right? When they know that they have deadlines and timelines and we got to get this campaign done by this time, let's just go back to Michael. That is the reason. My wife and I have made $3 million from sponsorships over the last number of years. I'm very transparent about that on social media. And I don't say that to flex. Our level of influence, our viewership is basically the lowest it's ever been, right? Over the last decade, right? Yeah. And yet we've made the most money we've ever made. It's because we built up the relationships where they keep coming back to us. They keep saying like, hey, let's work with Justin in April again, because we know it's going to get done. We know it's going to be great. So let's just go back to them again and again and again. And so like, the vast majority of our deals are from the relationships that we build. So anyone hearing this that think it's like your influence, it's your following, that is the real reason that brands are working with you. No, it's because of how amazing you are, how punctual you are, how communicative you are, how flexible you are during the, production process when things come up, right? So it's just like, you can differentiate yourself instantly from every other creator if you have this kind of like business mindset when you collaborate with brands.
That is fantastic. Okay, Justin, I know we're going to go over the time. So before I even ask you any more questions, there is one question that I wanted for us to kind of talk about. And this is a question that you got on Twitter earlier. And I think this is really a really good question. I don't have the tweet. Actually, I think I do.
I have it right here. You want me to pull it up?
Yeah.
I do. I did a little tweet, be like, hey, I'm going to go talk to Michael. What do you guys want to, let's do like a listener or a reader question. And Courtney Salerno said, I'd love to hear more about the options for leveraging niche channels, or those that don't have a surplus of sponsorships, for example, true crime. Like, and I really wanted to address this because I get this question a lot. Well, like, there's no brands that sponsor my type of content, right? People say that all the time. And I'm just like, like the number one, I have 2 pieces of advice. Number one is, first and foremost, shut up. That's not true. Of course there are. Number 2 is go start to follow lots of other creators in your niche, because I guarantee you, that when those people are getting sponsorships and you can start to discern the types of brands that are partnering with creators in your niche, everyone looks at other creators in their niche as like competitors. And no, like as my friend Shelly, I heard her say, they're niche neighbors. They're your niche neighbors, right? You want to follow them and you want to learn from them. You want to become a known quantity in their community, in their comment sections, so that when the moment that you're hyping them up, for 3 months, for 6 months. And so the moment that they get a deal that's like, oh my gosh, that's my dream brand, you will not feel uncomfortable DMing them and saying, hey, congratulations on this amazing partnership. Would you be willing to introduce me to the brand contact? If you've been in their comment section being like, congratulations, amazing deal, like you're so perfect for this, I love the brand. Like if you've been, like, believe me, creators like notice that stuff, because every time they post a sponsorship, they're always on pins and needles, like, oh my God, everyone's going to hate me for doing this sponsorship. If you're the one being like, get that bag, like, congratulations, like all this stuff, right? Like, they're going to remember you, right? And so they'll make that connection. And then the last thing to like really like hammer this into like submission for you all to realize this is that it's not just about brands that are like related to true crime. What you have to do is get into the psychographics of your audience, not the demographics. So for example, I bet you anything that people who watch true crime shows or podcasts, I bet you they really want a great home security system. I bet you that they'd be interested in self-defense items like pepper spray or something like that. Yeah. Right. So it's just like it's getting into the psychology of the people who watch and listen to your type of content. It's not about the content. It's about let me sit and meditate for a second about who that type of person is who likes that content, and then think about products and services that can help them solve some sort of pain point in their life. So that's where you should be focusing, not like, I need to find like a true crime show that's going to like on Netflix or something that's going to sponsor me. Like, no, it's not about that. It's about this. It's about getting into the head of your followers and thinking about how you can serve them.
Oh, that's great. I'm not a true crime kind of guy, but I've learned a lot and just just that one thing right there. That's awesome. I feel like I was the one who asked that question on Twitter. That's awesome. Well, yeah, that's really, really great. Oh my God. It's just like, I feel like there's so much that I have to process after this episode that I know as soon as I'm editing this, I'm probably going to watch this whole thing again and just, kind of digest that whole information. Justin, that was a whole lot of information, good information in a span of currently right now 54 minutes. And I know it's going to take us another hour just to just kind of just skim the surface at the very least of this whole thing. So I'm gonna give you your time back for the rest of the day. I don't want to hold you hostage here. But before we end this episode, I'd like you to please talk about your coaching. What do you call it? Services? What's the proper term for that?
Yeah, I guess, I think of it as kind of like a school and community of how I'm educating creators all around this topic of sponsorship strategy. I have this, those of you who are watching on Spotify, the video can see this, but those of you who are watching, I'm going to describe this. I have this black rectangle behind my shoulder, and it's an LED ticker where I can put custom messages on there. It's blank right now, but the reason I bought this is that I have created a new mission for myself that I want to help creators big and small land 1 million sponsorships by 2032. So in 10 years. And so it's a very large and very ambitious mission. And so this right here is going to be my McDonald's hamburger counter of how many sponsorships. It's going to be continuously counting all the sponsorships that I've helped facilitate in this community. And so my goal really truly is to help see everyone win. I sense that there is this like tremendous scarcity mindset amongst creators, that it's like, oh, if that person gets a deal, like somehow that's bad for me, right? I don't want to share my brand contacts because like it's me, I'll make less money or something. And it's like, my logic is that like there is more than enough money for everyone to go around. Like if that person gets a deal in your niche, next week it's going to be you. Right. And so it's like having this abundance mindset. This is the reason why I'm creating this mission, is I really truly do want to change this stigma around sponsorships and the idea of like helping we all need to help each other win, because believe me, there is going to be billions of dollars poured into this space over the next 5 to 10 years. And I just want to see everyone win. And so like I have my courses, and like basically probably the easiest way is I have a free newsletter that I share every single week where I send you paid sponsorship opportunities. Yeah, so you have literally no reason not to sign up for this. Yeah. It's you just go to creatorwizard.com/join. And so like you could stay updated on all my stuff, all my videos, and again I'm like at Creator Wizard everywhere. I do have courses and all that stuff too, but I'm sure you can find that if it's called Brand Deal Wizard. And so yeah, it's I want to help out as many creators as possible. So if that sounds like you, if you're listening and like I want to be helped, then please join. I would love to meet each and every one of you.
Justin, I'm going to be one of those. I promise you. I know I read the newsletter, but just after talking to you, one of the things I really appreciate about this whole episode is that aside from all the really good information that you've shared, it's that whole mindset thing that it's, I know it sounds easy, but for a lot of people, it's a struggle. Even for me in the beginning, changing your view, the way you view things, especially that abundance mindset. I've always believed in that. Like there's no shortage of anything. There's always enough. Like I think it was a story. Maybe you've heard of this story before. Like I think it was I don't know, some actor, Denzel Washington. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure. But he goes like, if I got rejected from a casting call, do I just say, well, that's it, I'm quitting, I'm not going to act anymore? No, I'm going to go call again because I know that there's going to be a part that I can play in the future. And that's having that abundance mindset that maybe you don't get it right now, but doesn't mean that you'll never get anything. So just even the way you speak, the way you share the way you view things, your perspective, Justin, I really do appreciate that, aside from the really good information that you've shared. So I promise you, I'm going to be one of those creators. I want to be a number on that little LED screen right there that says 1. That's me. That's Michael. Justin helped me. So yeah, you got me there.
Yes.
So well, thank you, Justin.
I appreciate that so much.
Of course. Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you again for finding the time today. I know you and your wife are probably really busy, and I'm so happy to hear about your success. I know I just recently discovered you. So I know you're not one of the humongous creators out there, but it's so nice to know that it's not about the numbers. That's a vanity metric for the most part. It's not about that. And you can find a lot of success if you're being smart about it. So educate yourself. I'm definitely gonna do that. And guys, you should follow Justin. You should sign up for his newsletter. That newsletter alone is so valuable. And also watch his YouTube videos, because I've shared your videos a couple times to my friends already. Because if they have questions, I'm like,
dude, I appreciate that, man.
I'm like, you should watch what this guy is saying. Like, I think he'll answer your question a lot better than I would. So
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, Justin, it's been a pleasure. Maybe one of these days, if you're not so busy, I can invite you back and we'll just have another chat. And you can grill my profile once more. You can roast my profile once again. That's awesome. I love it.
Let's do it, man. Love it.